DESIblitz.com.
What up, it's your boy Humble the Poet, and you are watching me on DESIblitz.com. So just Humble kind of came from the concept of, our ego being a challenge, and Sikh philosophy, that's a big idea. And the poet came from the idea of just trying to evolve hip-hop and lyricism, so there's the rapper, the MC, and then I just said a step up from that as a poet. So just trying to add a little bit more prestige to lyricism and writing. And I kind of view hip-hop artists as some of the most talented literary artists. So just kind of added that way, Humble the Poet. Well, it's not very humble to call yourself humble, but when I came up with the name, I never thought it'd go this far, so I'm kind of stuck with it. Then I'll do that, and then I'll do the second part after.
I ain't never going back, I ain't never going back, I ain't never going back. I can't go back, I can't go back, I ain't make it this far just to make it this far.
Now that I've been doing books, it's, my audience has gotten a little bit older, more mature, versus when I was just doing YouTube. There's a lot more younger kids, and they were just chasing selfies and just kind of screaming at super high pitches. And so I think for me, it's just probably having a more mature audience is a little bit more rewarding. I can go deeper and they kind of get the concepts. And afterwards, it's not just about taking pictures. It's about having meaningful conversations with them. And I really appreciate that. I just wanted people to realize that they can find value in the pain that they've gone through. And I mean, coming from an immigrant household, there's only so many tools our parents could provide for us. I jokingly say it's just mainly guilt and shame is what they kind of pass down, but there's better tools to deal with the challenges that we deal with in life. And so the big idea is if you can go back, revisit your past pain and your trauma, and you can find some value from it, then you'll be better equipped for when new pain and trauma chases you tomorrow. I think we all kind of have callings, and so often we just plug ourselves into the template and do what we're expected to do, even if it doesn't really naturally agree with who we are. And I think I just had the right opportunities to kind of unplug myself from the script and try something different. And once I started that journey, like nothing was the same.
For putting the bruises on anyone thinking that they cannot ruin us. With us, you wanna do it with us, do it with us. Flow so smooth, you ain't know there was two of us.
I have two sisters, and they were very supportive, like actively supportive. And my parents, I mean, being the immigrants that they were, their definition of support was just staying out the way, and they were pretty good at that. And the occasional comment here or there. I mean, they still haven't come around. Yeah, so like they're gonna come around as much as they will. And I think and I don't hold it against them. I was like, who can prepare parents to have a child who's trying to be an artist, and in a world where 0.01% of artists can pay their bills, right? So they just want some safety, security, and some stability for the children. So I don't blame them for that at all. And I think I've done a good job showing them that it's possible, and hopefully, I can set an example for kids moving forward. And the kids can also understand that this isn't simply about having fun. There's a lot of work and a lot more hours than your standard 9-to-5 job. So I think a lot of it has to do with communication and not looking at it as being a rebellious kid or anything like that. But also recognizing that they have priorities and they understand the world a certain way. And it's not about, butting heads with them, but trying to build a bridge, and so everybody understands what's happening, and they can understand that, in this new world, sometimes the most safe and secure thing you can do is work for yourself. I finally got to a point where I could bring my ideas to life the way I wanted to. So I've probably always had these ideas, and you always look at the limits of what you can do and what you can't do. So we started holding the little handheld Canon cameras, the power shots, and we would edit, on Windows Movie Maker. And then, as time went on, you got a little bit of a nicer camera, started learning how to use better software. And now I just got to a point now where I actually have a team. I have a great team out in Toronto. And now I can be more focused on the ideas and the stories and what I want to make happen. And I have people who can dedicate their time to help me figure it out. So, one of the opening scenes, I got a bunch of flowers coming out of my beard, but then also not only were they able to bring that to life, they were able to create a set that, you know, continue that theme. Then we're able to find Toronto-based designers who also continue that theme with our clothing. So it was really about having a team to help expand that. So it was really interesting because I found a bunch of really talented people who never, you know, they never butted heads with any of my ideas. If anything, they just helped me fill in the gaps.
Years ago, I never thought that I would be in this spot, but I kept my beard growing and my rhymes are flowing line after line, up a mind of mine. I made myself a promise, there's no looking back. It's humble PR, it's the dirt, and no, I ain't scared of that.
You know, I grew up being obsessed with the really cool music videos, Missy Elliott, Busta Rhymes, all these guys had some really funky stuff going on. And I think, you know, for me, art is about bringing new ideas to the world. So it's really about that for me, and just now knowing that there's less and less excuses that I can't get things done. So the videos are just going to get weirder and weirder. And it's an opportunity to tell stories that I think are important, and I can tell them in creative ways. I was always writing. Like, since I was really young, I was writing stories and writing poems and stuff like that. I think it was after going to a concert and seeing somebody perform spoken word and being like, oh, I could do that. I didn't know that was a thing. And that's accessible. Like, it doesn't require any special equipment or training. I can do that immediately. I can go home and open up a notebook and start. So I think that's how it kind of launched things. And then, you know, because a lot of people have, you know, larger than life or just non-conventional dreams or desires, and they don't pursue it. They give themselves reasons not to do it. So I probably had that in my head that I can write and bring ideas to life, but I didn't know how. And spoken word was just that crack in the door to let me in, because it was like, oh, you only need your voice and a story. And then from there, it evolved into music. And then after you start doing music, you have to create visuals for your music. So everything was kind of like just step by step. And then as I started building momentum, I had less and less excuses not to do things.
Write it, live, light it, ignite it. Let me know you gassed up. My flame needs feeding. Eating meals is never gonna get passed up, you food sucker. You what I'm dipping in my jar when I'm gossiping with mom, boy, you food sucker.
I've been using Instagram a lot to share my writing, and Instagram's a very visual platform. It's really about, you know, sharing images and what have you. And I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm sharing quotes and very, very long captions. I usually use the character limits. So I'm happy that I'm probably one of the few people on Instagram who has a strong following, who doesn't really post a lot of pictures. People follow me for my words and my ideas, I think, which is great because I can keep coming out with words and ideas. I think the thing with YouTube is great, but it does have its own community, and the community often can skew really young, and then sometimes it's hard to connect with them on a deeper level, which sometimes that matters to me more. So when I was just heavily in YouTube, it was I think a much younger audience, and when I did anything live, they were just more concerned with getting a selfie than kind of exploring the stuff that I want to explore. And for me, I think I'm a little bit more on a deeper mission than just being a celebrity.
I ain't never going back.
Can I rap hard when I talk about God? Nah, what about love? Same diff and they talk about shit. I ain't looking back, girl, I'm a spaceship. And the sky ain't my limit, moonwalk on the stars, say goodbye to your goodness. And boy, I'm the business, your girl likes my beard and all of the trimming.
I watch YouTube, and I think there's some great creators on there. I think the platform continues to change, so that makes it a little bit challenging for certain creators. So for me, that's where I'll put my music videos and stuff like that. And, you know, that'll always be the place that helped launch me, you know, before anybody let me come on their TV shows or on their platforms. So YouTube was the original, but they've evolved since then. So I think for me now, it's about trying to understand all the platforms and working with them the way they need to be worked on. So even if I can figure out ways to make TikTok work and Snapchat and all of that. So I want to exist in all of that and meet people where they're at before I can take them to where I want them to go.